everyone, this is Crafty Chris, and I have a little bit different video for you today. This is my first walkthrough video of a junk journal that I made, and this one I made for my 12-year-old daughter who wanted a junk journal to put pictures in, and she chose this book, I Have Friends. And so I gutted it for her, and let's go ahead and get started. So my daughter didn't want me to over decorate it, so I kept it pretty plain. And after the fact, I found out she did not like the color red. As you can see, the cover's red, so I did start out putting a lot of red in here. So I changed out a few things before I sewed everything in, but I think the color scheme turned out pretty well, considering we didn't really have one. So what I did is I made a tag out of manila folder, and I just put some eyelash trim in here, and I had this book plate that she really loved, and she really loved this part of this napkin, so I decoupaged it, and she wanted this part to show. So it's really nice to have your customer live with you. And sometimes it's a pain because then you have to take some things apart, but that's okay. And so I used a storybook. It was in really bad shape. It was one of the first books I bought and actually used the pages for ephemera, and so I was really happy because this was the first thing I ever did that was really considered junk journaling, and I was able to use it for her journal. So my daughter loves all things animals, especially cats. She's also a baker. Her middle name is Rose, so I use a lot of Rose stuff. The only criteria she gave me is she wanted lots of vintage items in here, and so so that's what I did. And the song To a Rose. And I tried my hand at coffee dyeing. I really love it. And this is from Metropolitan Museum catalog books they had in the 50s. And my daughters absolutely love these. And then I just put a doily piece of coffee dyed scrapbook paper, and I used scraps. And here's another coffee dyed paper. This is a children's dictionary that we used to use, and I homeschool, and this was a book that we actually used, and so I pulled out this page because it had a cat on it. This is a page from the actual book, I Have Friends. This is from a little golden book. From a, I pulled out a lot of baking recipes because she loves to bake. And this is from a vintage preschool activity book for teachers, and it's rainbow colors. And I pulled this one because I liked, on the other side it has a cat. Mog the Forgetful Cat. This is the first book that I actually ripped apart, I guess. I was going to make it into a junk journal, but then the girls kept asking for the pages from it, so we just used the pages. This is a security envelope that I turned inside out and sewed, and I just put a little little card in there, and a little peekaboo stamp. And she picked out this paper as a constellation. And before I even junk journaled, I found this binder that was full of recipes, and I actually bought it for the binder because I needed it for school. And what I did is I actually kept, and this is before junk journaling, I actually kept all the handwritten recipes, and I was so glad. And this is a Neiman Marcus cake recipe that was written on a old Bank Taylor envelope, and so I stuck it in here hoping that she will bake it for me. And I used references to cats and different things for her. I can do hard things. That's a journal card. And these are actually the full recipes, so she can actually use the recipes if she wants to. And this is one of my favorite coffee dyed papers that came from my first batch, and it probably won't pick up, but it has a really nice pattern on it. And so I have a lot of plain pages in here since she's going to use this to put pictures in. I'm not sure if she's going to journal or not. This came from a home almanac book from the 2000s, and it has lots of vintage pictures in it. So I pulled a lot of the pages and images to use for journaling cards. And this is a one of those homemade pressed pages. I think it was actually for an invitation. I got it at the store. And then here's another page from the Metropolitan Museum. Ledger page. And she wants to be a veterinarian, so I pulled the veterinarian card. And then here's our second signature. And I got this from Diane H., her store, which is Pretty Pink Cottage. And this is the Edith Holden page. A doily that I coffee dyed. And this is from a travel book that I bought. And this is a vintage recipe book that had oversized writing in it, and I really thought it was really cool, and I actually bought. I have always been a book collector, so junk journaling just falls right into things I love, and so I was happy to be able to use this. And a vintage dictionary. This is another coffee dyed page that I did, and I ran out of pans, so I used a muffin pan and turned it up and just put the papers on top of it, and it left this really neat circle pattern on it. This is a vintage children's book. It has rose red on it, and a 1930s hymnal that I bought. I actually got it free because Bibles and hymnals at one of our thrift stores are free. And this is one of my favorite children's book that I have, and this was also another book that we had in our homeschooling shelf, and it was a vocabulary book from the 60s, and it has lots of references to rockets, and it has lots of cats and kittens and stuff, so I really love using these pages, and they have beautiful colors. And this is a card catalog. It was one of this perforated kind that went through the printer, and I actually bought this at a homeschool book sale, and it was homeschoolers actually use these for just like index cards, and they put them on the ring. That's how it was marketed, but I like to use it for journaling card. This is a vintage typing paper. Another book from the Mog book. My daughter picked out this scrap, and it had a buffalo on it, so I added a tag with a buffalo stamp on it from 1970, and of course added a cat card. And she picked this page, and she loves everything botanical, vintage. here's the other side, and I added a recipe to this catalog card. And added it to this coffee dye bag that I got from Goodwill. Our Goodwill gets Target stuff from the dollar spot. Another vocabulary page. And here's the kittens. They had lots of pages with kittens on it. One of my favorite children's books. And there's the, I don't know if you can see it, but this has real grunge on it. Or aging. Actually got that at a estate sale for $1. I was so excited. And here's a little postcard. And she can add a picture to the back of that if she wants to. And then I added some journaling, just in case. And this is from Tsunami Rose, I believe. One of her ephemera kits. And then I used this because my daughter's birthday is in June. And this is a pocket that I made actually for my own botanical journal, but I made it too wide. And so it fits perfectly in her journal. And it just has little tuck spots. And these images came from Tsunami Rose ephemera kit. That's what I was trying to say. And this came from a vintage children's music book. And then I just folded the page and created some type of tuck spots for these cards that can be journaled on. So that is my first walkthrough of my daughter's junk journal. It is actually the third one that I've made start to finish. The other two I made as gifts for friends and did not have time to do a walkthrough before I gave it to them. And so I'm just happy that I finally got one on video for you, and also just so I can have a record of it before she makes it her own. So I want to thank everyone for watching, and everyone have a great day, and God bless you. Goodbye.